So this week, you've made it to 24 weeks.
I was like, whoa, we're starting. Yeah, 24 weeks.
24
which makes
weeks.
me into my I'm 6 months pregnant.
You're into your 6 months.
Yeah. Everything reads is like, you're in your sixth month. I can't even speak. It doesn't say you're 6 months, you're 5 months. It just says you're within this month. I don't know why it announces that, but yeah.
Because it's confusing because the number of weeks don't always add up to the number of months. Like
True.
there's not always
True.
4.
Yes.
Well, maybe there's sometimes 4 weeks in a month. Not full
There's
weeks.
4, but there could be 5 or a little close to 5 weeks. But yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm 6
And
months
how are you
pregnant.
feeling? I know lately you've been a lot more vocal about how you've been feeling physically. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we won't go into the emotional part. The physical part, I just feel like, I said it before, I'm feeling every feeling you can feel in your body. Like I felt it's much more intensified than the first time around. Like I would have said, oh, I couldn't even remember some of the different annoying physical things that happened besides my legs cramping, which surprisingly I have not really dealt with that.
Knock on
Knock on wood. Watch,
something.
next time I'll tell you I've dealt with it like every night.
Those seemed like they were unbearable.
Because I would you just want to really stretch when you're in bed, and you just stretch from head to toe, and that's when it was just wouldn't want to stop stretching, even though I wanted it to stop. So it started to happen a little bit the other night, and I think I was just fine. Maybe I'm more hydrated, even though I feel like I haven't drank as much water, but I am, because I always got to remember you can get water through you making my smoothies or
update, we are making more smoothies.
I've had at least 4 to 5 smoothies in between these last couple of weeks since we last filmed, so I at least get about 2 or 3 smoothies a week now, which yay, thank you, Brian, for that one.
I've noted the feedback and I am working to improve.
Yeah, and the green ones, not necessarily
You don't like the peach?
Yeah, I think it's just really, really sweet. And I just feel healthier when my drink is green. I'm a child. But I also have berries in the fridge, so I do need to get through those. But you have to do an extra step of getting all the seeds out, which is a little annoying. And I still have a bag of pregnancy protein powder that, I know it's good for me and the baby, but I do not like the taste of it, but I have to sneak it in.
Yeah.
Maybe half of the dosage just for the remaining of the pregnancy, because that was an expensive protein powder one. And it's just good. It's good for me. It's good for the baby, blah, blah, blah. So you got to do what you got to do. So I'll try to sneak those in the future. But as far as how I'm feeling, I would just say, which I was just looking up on my phone because I wanted to make sure I didn't mess it up, but because of what they call the hormone relaxin, which is which is produced by both your ovaries and your placenta. When you're pregnant, it helps you to relax your ligaments in the pelvis and soften and widen your cervix so that it's easier to give birth. And so that causes a lot of hip pain. So that's been big on my list. So I literally flip and switch sides at least every couple hours when I'm laying down, because my hips get so it just aches too much. And more recently, my tailbone, I'm like, what is this pain? Which was a traumatizing flashback to giving birth, because that was where I actually felt most of my pain and discomfort. Remember, I could not sit down. Sitting down wasn't comfortable. So that's also a point of pain that you can have because of all everything's relaxed and and shifting, and it's causing pain. So the other day I'm like, oh my God, you're like, what's wrong with you? As I'm walking kind of funny, and I'm like, it's my tailbone. I don't know what's going on. And then I started to, my trusty friend Google. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. But my trusty friend Google. But that wasn't the first time I've heard it. Was this hormone that, sounds about right, relaxes everything. And it does this job to help you push the baby out much easier, but it also causes some side effects and some pain that you might have. And so I think I've been showing that pain a little bit too much, holding my back or just getting up in funny ways, because our son, a tiny little 3-year-old toddler, decided he wanted to, like, I was, what are you doing? He was holding his lower back, sticking out
with both hands.
With both hands and sticking out his belly.
He's sort of leaning backwards,
yeah.
pushing his belly out, and then proceeded to walk
down the hall.
Like, and what? And at first I thought, are you okay?
Yeah.
And then I realized, because I think Fatima came out and she just would naturally, she holds her back.
Yeah.
And I realized he was mimicking you.
Yeah, he was totally mimicking me. I was like, that's not nice. He's done that. He's done that to quite a few people. Like my mom one time when like I think she had hurt her back or something, and he proceeded to like make fun of her or mimic her doing that. Mm-hmm. And our elevator is still not fixed. So we've been walking up, and which probably isn't helping my hips or my tailbone or anything like that. I have to walk up 4 flights of stairs.
You poor thing.
Yeah, that's like my only exercise, so I shouldn't complain. I have to walk up the stairs, and as I get to like the third, close to the fourth floor where we are, I take like a deep breath. I'm like, sorry for breathing in your ear. And I turn around, and this little kid, our son, once again, he goes, like, what are you doing? I tell this to my sisters, and my sister's like, he's probably out of breath. He is probably out. I'm like, no, he does not normally do that. He could run all around, doesn't know anything about breathing except for the breathing exercise we tell him when to calm down. But he does it as soon as I do it. So he's been just mimicking my little things and quirks that I've been doing a little bit more. And so I'm like, oh wow, like I'm out of breath, my back hurts, and all the above.
But it's cute. It's so cute.
I guess. We'll laugh about it later.
Yeah.
I'm Fatima.
And I'm Brian. You're listening to Millennial and Pregnant.
And while we're talking through another pregnancy, this time we're doing it with our 3-year-old.
And we think we know what to expect this time around, but somehow it still feels new.
In this episode, we're talking about being pregnant in different seasons and your baby's astrological sign.
You said it. You said astrological very good.
Okay.
If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need in one place. In fact, this season of Millennial and Pregnant was produced and hosted on Anchor. Here's what I love about it. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. This made it easier for me to edit my episodes on the go. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Okay, so it's been a few weeks since we checked in, and so we'll catch you up to speed with how you've been doing. You kind of gave us a preview earlier. But yeah, we're in week 24, and over the last week 23, the baby can start to feel your movement. So you dancing and doing all sorts of movements. The
Which
baby
I've been
can
dancing
feel
a lot.
You have been dancing a lot. And they can also hear sounds and music. Okay. And their digestive tract is starting to work.
Cool.
Which is interesting. You are probably your feet and your ankles are starting to puff up.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to like whip out my sneakers, my pregnancy sneakers from before, which was just literally the slip-on ones, because it's been fluctuating so much. Although we'll get into this more about just the difference in when you're pregnant and the season you're being pregnant in. They won't last me very long because although I did wear them in the winter, I'm lying. I did wear them when it was cold. I just wore my compressing socks. It wasn't the best look, but it got me through, especially towards the end, because I could not fit my feet into any of my shoes.
Yeah. And we weren't going for looks. Like, you're going for comfort.
Yeah.
And
Like, I
whatever
showed
makes you
up
feel.
at your office, your office baby shower thing that they threw for you. And at that day, my feet were gigantic. Like, I have photos from that day.
That was like a week. That was
Yeah.
a week
Yeah.
before you gave birth.
I remember when, like,
And you were 3 weeks early.
I think your manager at the time, Tessa, took a photo of us, and I was like, oh my, I just looked like a balloon, like
No.
that had been slightly inflated, not like gigantic, but that I did a little poof of air, just like came in and filled out every little section. That's what it looked like. And I was like, wow, I look really, really, I look pregnant. So yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, I gave birth a week later.
That's
Shout out to those
wild.
coworkers. It was a nice little gathering they had.
That was really nice. I didn't know it was like happening.
Yeah, same. It's always when I'm just looking
That's a
at.
lie. I'm thinking of the wrong party.
What are you thinking about?
I knew what happened.
You knew what happened.
No, I was saying I didn't realize the party happened, but I was thinking about a very different party.
Oh. I
They
thought you
threw
were
for
saying
me.
more realizing how much I was puffing up. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't really realize it until I start looking at photos.
Yeah.
And I say, oh, yeah, you look a little different.
Uh-huh.
And it's weird because you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I look the same. I look great. And then not that you don't look great, but you just, in the photo, it's a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. I get it. So now we're at 24 weeks.
Mm-hmm. And
so last week, the baby was the size of a mango, which was one of the ingredients in our
I love
smoothies.
mangoes.
And so you're going from the size of a mango, now the baby is the size of an ear of corn. And so I thought about that, and I tried to picture an ear of corn in your stomach, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I guess an ear of corn can fit in your stomach, but that's like about 12 feet. Sorry, 12 inches.
Feet. I got a 12 foot
You
baby.
got 12 foot
in
baby.
Yeah,
That's about 12 inches. Like
12
an ear of
inches. Yeah,
corn.
so it's a foot.
Baby eyebrows, starting to get those thick brows are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Let's hope.
the respiratory sacs are growing inside the lungs. So when they are born, they're going to be able to put that into action, those lungs. And they're going to start to be gaining more weight. Mm-hmm. They
gains
themselves
more weight.
will start to
Mommy gains
puff
more
up
weight. Yep.
a little bit. And now so your uterus is about the size of a soccer ball, which, yeah, I could see that. Maybe.
Yeah, I think a ball could fit in there.
Do you ever feel like you're getting worry episodes? Like, do you feel worried at any points of the day?
Yeah, it was funny because I was going through Instagram and it wasn't even someone who was pregnant, but they were just saying they talked to their therapist and they're like, "Yeah, I have anxiety and depression, but who doesn't?" And the therapist says there are other people who don't have depression and anxiety, but living in this world, you can very much in the last couple of years, depression and anxiety can creep up on you. And specifically when you're pregnant, yeah, you start to think about it as it becomes more real. And you're like, whoa, I'm almost into my last trimester because we did the math last night.
take.
And Brian was like, you're not in your last trimester. And I was like, okay, cool.
You have 2 more weeks.
If I go, but if I go off of
your
my last date of, when I was 3 weeks early, I'm giving birth soon. And I'm in my last trimester. But anyway, so we had a little math test last night. But
a healthy debate.
as you start to get closer to it, you start to think about, okay, I think, I know my body's going to know what to do, but at the same time, seeing how different and how much more how I've been feeling things a little bit more, am I going to feel this childbearing process a little bit more too when I'm actually in labor? How's the labor going to actually feel, and is it going to be more painful? And so that is always going to be a little bit of a worry. I think the thing that causes me the most anxiety, I think that, also just making sure that just the new dynamic that we have in the family with our son and now this other baby that we're, that we'll have. So just making, trying to, been reading the the brother's book to Liam like all the time now. And I heard it's a really great idea to even get them a little baby so that they can say that this is their baby and take care of it.
Okay.
Because I do, and maybe it's my fault, I'm like, where's your baby, Liam? And he points to my stomach. So he does think it's his baby.
Yeah.
So I think we need to like give him his own baby. So like if I'm breastfeeding or anything else, he can feed the baby a bottle. It also helps us, develop some of those skills and stuff, especially in boys, where, typically society doesn't think, oh, they should be changing diapers and everything else. I think we're moving away from that, but older generations, like help them be, develop in some of those skills. It would be a no-brainer. If I had a girl, she probably would have had a doll already. So I'm like, well, yeah, why not? Why can't we get him a little baby doll?
Yeah.
Sometimes he pretends Teddy, which is like a 30-year-old teddy bear that Brian had as a kid.
My Teddy was given to me by my great grandmother. He also
throws the thing around sometimes. Like he just took it out of the crib and just threw it in the hallway this morning.
Poor Teddy. Teddy probably said something to him.
Okay, so yeah, we'll
he's
discuss
picking
that later.
Teddy's nose and keeps making that hole bigger.
You're gonna have to do something about that.
Oh, take it away.
So I think my worry comes from more of labor and delivery.
But do you feel like these worrying episodes are like happening more? Do you feel like?
I guess because I wasn't.
Are
really
you just like
thinking.
sitting and then you feel worried?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it just is randomly. I'm just like on the toilet where I do a lot of my thinking. Like, oh, I gotta give birth again. Oh my god. And then especially when I started to feel a tailbone pain, I was like, oh my god. Like I remember that was intense. And so like I just have these random thoughts and stuff that pop up where I sometimes feel a little bit worried about it, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I just like. Your typical stuff.
Yeah, because that's a symptom about this time. You're going to start to feel more worried. Which, did you feel worried? Or was it just anxiety through the roof because it's your first pregnancy with Liam?
I think I was so busy, though, that I didn't even have a chance to, like, stop and think. Here I have busy spells at work. And so when it's less busy, I tend to think about it a little bit more. But when I'm, really busy.
That's true.
Shout
For
out
like
to
those 6 months, you were just like nonstop.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was working crazy hours up until the weekend that I gave birth. I didn't get to really stop. And so here I've had a couple of down, like, few weeks where, and I've taken vacation because before the timing of the pregnancy, it made sense for me to bucket or save all my vacation so that I can tack it on to my maternity leave. But for this time around, it's going to be at the end of the year and it restarts again. So that doesn't make any sense to do. So I've actually been using that time and taking it. So it's just a little bit different. So now I have a little bit more time to think.
And then you have your glucose screening coming up. Does that at all worry you?
I mean, I guess it probably should. But I did read up on that, and they say, like, the high risk of, you're more at risk to have that if, you have type 2 diabetes that run in your family, which I don't think runs, or I forget the other things, pregnancy brain. And I didn't check any of the lists to have a risk of having this. Although my cravings that I talked about last week or a few weeks ago, with my cereal and bread, like I mean, tell me one pregnant woman that can't not have bread. I feel like it's the one thing that also kind of fills you up a little bit too, So I think but that turns into sugar. So I have to just, be a little bit more mindful of that. So instead of getting both my Captain Crunch and my Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I just got my Cinnamon Toast Crunch this time around.
The sugary one. The more sugary one. Yeah.
And the smaller box.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I have both cravings of salty and cravings of sweet, but only in certain forms of sweet. So like a sweet, like cereal.
Yeah.
I ate a small
cinnamon
piece of
raisin bread.
Yeah. Liam's been eating that more than I have.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've been eating the Bialys with now smothering cream cheese on it because my sister was like, this is actually really good with cream cheese. Before I would just use butter. And I was like, oh my God, like I have to try it because I was just so against it. And it's amazing. So I've had that for the last couple days. So yeah,
Savory.
I mean, it should worry me. It would be annoying to have some restrictions in my diet if something did come out that I have it, but I think it's all doable.
And then, are you more worried about having to drink that glucose test?
Oh my God, why do you keep bringing up these terrible things? Forgot about that. You have to when I first time around doing it, and the lady like sees me like slowly drinking it, and she goes, you're gonna have to chug that or you're not gonna be able to get it down. And so I was like, oh great. I don't even know how to describe the taste of this thing. Is it sweet? Is it kind of sweet? It's just it's just the weirdest taste ever. And it was orange too. The drink was orange. You have to chug it, wait an hour. Then they do the tests. If the test comes back where you have elevated levels or whatever, they'll then do additional tests, which I think involves maybe blood work or something else. So I'm really just praying that everything goes fine. I'm also trying to stack my appointments so that I can do that and the checkup at the same time or the ultrasound. So yeah, I guess I'm worried about that drink. It was gross.
I don't need to bring it up.
And my gag reflex is terrible. So yeah.
And then another symptom is just signs of preterm labor. That's like literally.
Oh yeah, that's just whatever. Like, I mean,
contractions, mucus plug, all the signs. Because apparently poor dental hygiene is being linked to preterm labor because the gingivitis or the bacteria just travels to the placenta and then just kicks off, the domino effect of giving birth.
I make sure I floss. I've been flossing, mouthwash, brush my teeth when I can remember. No. Sometimes I go like midday and I'm like, oh, I got to brush my teeth. Every night, though, I remember, like, how could you, that's what you have to do before you go into bed. So I do brush my teeth every day.
That's good.
And floss and mouthwash. Yeah. That is very good. Thank you.
Yeah. No, good job. And then food that is good to eat. Salmon, good for baby brain development. Avocados, I pulled this one out specifically. Avocados for preventing your leg cramps.
Maybe that's been playing a factor.
Maybe.
I was doing it a lot in the beginning, my avocado and eggs. Shout out to my job where we used to have that all the time for breakfast. And I actually kind of like the pairing. It's just like a nice light breakfast. It's my one of 3 breakfasts that I have every morning.
So we moved on from breakfast 1 and 2 to now breakfast 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there's like one when I get out of the room at like 8, I'll have a bowl of cereal because I like something like that, or a bowl of oatmeal. Then I'll make my eggs with my avocado, and then right before what your typical lunchtime would be, I'll have a bialy or some type of carbiness, waffle, bialy, bagel, toast, and then. Because I'll usually tip chips. Because I'll, feed Liam his lunch. And so I'll end up having lunch a little bit later. So then that third breakfast is really just my early lunch.
That's true.
But I do still have another lunch.
True.
So you can call it a third breakfast, or you can call it 2 lunches, whatever.
Or lunch, or breakfast, brunch, and then lunch.
Yeah.
Something like that. Cool. So... I know what we want to talk about today is just kind of looking at pregnancy over the seasons. And so you were pregnant in the fall, winter, spring, and then now you're pregnant in the spring, fall, start of winter. And so what has it been like? And it's probably from like 20 weeks to birth is what you want to compare to, I think.
Do I?
I don't know.
I mean, I started showing a little bit sooner, probably at like the 16, 17 week mark where I had like a little bit of a bump. So, I mean, the biggest thing was that my alpha game really, I stepped it up this time around. And really because you have better options because you have all these stretchy dresses and stuff. Even my sister, she's like, your outfit game just like it's on point this time around. Just because I'm like, I can wear a dress. Like in the beginning, one, I didn't show very soon. So it was just like, if you're kind of in between, you just look like you just have a little bit of you ate too much, you're a little bloated. It's not like much, but here it was like very much defined. So the dresses and stuff looked a little bit cuter, but then it was also a little bit easier to hide because I could just do a flowy shirt. But if I put on like a stretchy spandex type dress, it really showed. So that's been really fun going through that.
So
but
the fashion has been better than the winter.
The fashion is much better than the winter time, and also being able to work from home, not having to work in corporate America where I had to wear some type of professional wear, and then I was working a lot. So when I wasn't working, I threw on literally. I think I only purchased one pair of maternity leggings, and then I had another pair of leggings that would just stretch really easy. So I rotated with those on the weekend. And then after work, I would just literally throw on my pajamas. So I didn't have any, what does it say? Creative freedom to do what I wanted during my first pregnancy because I had to stay within this box because I worked in corporate America. So, I wore a few of the stretchy dresses, but I wore tights with it. So I had to make it look a little bit professional. So I wore tights with it. If it had like a strap, I would do like a little button, like a layered effect button down shirt under it, or like a little blazer. So sometimes it could be cute, but it still wasn't like fun. Whereas like here, I got to be a little bit more fun with like the patterns and stuff like that. So, and then also limited in like the shoes I could wear. So I think I bought like a bigger size loafer, or I stretched out those other loafers so bad that I had to throw them out by the time the pregnancy was done. So, and then it's just like the weather, like as I'm getting bigger now this time around, the weather was hotter. So I really felt the heat a little bit more, like the boob sweat, everything, like just sweating, which I never sweat. Like I could do a 2-hour workout, like, and really put effort in it. And I'm barely sweating. And Brian is like drenched. And here I walk from one room to another and like I'm sweating. So
it's true. You do not
No,
sweat.
I don't sweat. It's weird.
It's like a weird thing.
Yeah.
You don't sweat.
Like Brian's like, you literally see it coming down on his forehead.
I'm sweating right now.
Oh my God, and he wipes his forehead. Anyways, so.
To prevent the little dripping.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But so like being pregnant in the hotter weather definitely is a little bit of a struggle with like the sweating and just a little bit more uncomfortable when it comes to that. But I took advantage of, I bought the, maternity biker shorts and wore those with like, and threw on like a tank top or a t-shirt. So like that helped. And once again, being able to work remotely has really helped me a lot because I don't know what I would do if I had to constantly be traveling on that hot subway train to work. Oh my God, where sometimes it didn't have air conditioning.
Gosh. It's like 115.
And then you had to have a mask on. Like, come on. Oof. So, so the weather, the weather is not the best when you're getting big, but you do have the better fashion. And I was going to say something else.
Didn't have to commute.
So it didn't, the commute was gone, but that was more of just like the seasons, which that's just a difference in the time. I'm drawing a blank. But I say that's my biggest thing. That like it's just the weather and the fashion I felt like was just much, much better. Yeah.
Do you remember daylight being an issue? You were also working so much that I don't think daylight was a weird thing or an important thing.
No, it wasn't an important thing. I guess a bummer, more, not a bummer, but like the things that's going to like have to shift and change a little bit is like what we're going to do for the holidays. Because it's going to be so close to my due date. And then on top of like the season of the pandemic that we're still very much going through. So we'll have to think about what we're going to do there. Whereas like the first time around, I didn't have to worry about that. Like that's kind of like when we announced it to everyone that we were pregnant.
Yeah.
So there's that, but yeah, I would say it's pretty much, it's very similar, but for me, the fashion, once again, I love it much more.
And so now we're having a baby in a different season. That also comes with a different astrological sign. Yeah.
I had a conversation with our friend Eileen, and I was talking about this with her, and she laughed, and she's like, I just started to get into this, and she's like, it actually makes a lot of sense with like some relationships that you have with other people. And she's like, I love that you guys thought about that or thinking about that. Sometimes it doesn't always plan out the greatest when you're like, I want to have this sign, and it, complications that could arise, but we got lucky because we're going to have, hopefully, if all goes well, if I full term, we'll have Earth sign for sure.
Yeah. Not that was planned by any means.
No.
A planned seasonal baby. Or zodiac sign, Earth sign. But so I know because you are you're our in-house psychic. So that's why we're talking about astrological signs. So I know you went to look at like different parent-child compatibilities.
Which I think, and everyone take this with a grain of salt. And like, I do have some sightings of where people got this from, but it makes a little bit of sense even when you're looking at comparabilities with someone that you're going to be in a relationship with or anything else, But I talked about parent-child comparabilities. And so according to babygaga.com, so they list out like 12 perfect and like not perfect and troubled matches.
Between a baby and mom?
Yes. So the parent,
got it.
Between the parent, what this parent sign is, actually in this site, the second one that I'll tell you guys about, they made it very, very clear that the parent has to be X sign and the baby would need to be X sign. With this one, it was just like, if one or the other are these signs, they would be fine.
Got it.
And so perfect match, which is the match that we are with our son, is a Virgo and Taurus, our perfect match. And this is because they have common traits. Both of them are earth signs. They both are fierce. They have fierce loyalty to their family and protective of bonds that they create, which makes a lot of sense with how, Liam treats you and I, and some of the other people in our family that he's close with. They can be critical and skeptical in nature.
Yes.
So we can often fall into routines very easily. And yes, that is very true. True. Routines for a child is good in general. So like that's why I say take these things with a grain of salt, because they're they're still a child and they still need certain things that is just good generally for children, especially when they're going through these developmental things. But
like, you and Aries, I give up.
Right.
I'm not your parent.
No. So with this, Liam will know. If we tell him that we're going somewhere and we typically, let's say, go to a different type of grocery store, whether it's walking or driving, he will be like, no, this way. He its routine is so important to him that he even knows the way he gets there.
Right.
It's
and if
important.
we go a different way to the same place, if we tell him the exact store we're going to, but we go a different route, like that happened when we were walking home. We went a different route. And he got so upset that we were not going the way. He thought was the way home, but this was another way home.
He did not like that. So, and I would say I'm like very similar way. Like we were going a different way because there's still a lot of construction and stuff that's going on, and I didn't want to pass the debris. But yeah, I'm a creature of habit. You are a creature of habit, especially
that was
when
said
it comes
with a lot of judgment.
Because
that was a lot of judgment. I am, and I know it.
Yeah,
but
probably worse than I am.
You passed on a lot of judgment with that tone.
Because he's worse than I am.
I am. I could eat the same thing every day for breakfast, lunch, like the same thing for breakfast, same thing. Sometimes the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I could have the same thing every single day, and it wouldn't bother me.
Yep. Go for a certain time to go get his coffee.
Into my routine.
Yeah.
Like I have a routine. If I I need to have coffee by a specific time. Otherwise, I'm cranky, but who isn't? But honestly, and then just start getting ready by a certain time. I have to get on that bike before a certain time. Because
He's like, oh, I can't do it. I'm like, I was out here maybe 5 minutes later than I was normally.
Yeah.
I'm not going on the bike today. Cool.
I know how long everything will take me.
Yeah.
And it'll just back me up and I won't back into work at the right time.
So yeah, he's the worst. And so this is why our son is the same exact way, just like on steroids sometimes, because he's a Taurus and they have some bullheadish ways.
They're stubborn
ways.
You could say it.
Yeah, with him.
Not only is he a sun sign Taurus, he's a moon sign Taurus.
Yes, so he's a double Taurus.
He's stubborn as they
come. He has every characteristic of a Taurus that you can possibly imagine.
And it's funny. When I, just to not deviate any farther than where we are, but when I went back to work at my, after coming back for parental leave, I met someone who had a baby on the same day as Liam, and she was talking about her son in the same way Liam was,
You're telling me.
Overly stubborn. And I'm like, when was your son born? And she's like, May 13th. And I'm like, oh my God, so was my son. Yeah. And they were
the
both
same exact
stubborn
way.
Tauruses.
Yep. So, and then same thing according to babygaga.com. Or no, now moving on to trouble matches, because I only am focusing on Virgo's matches. You guys can check this out on your own if you're a different sign. Sorry, I'm not going through all of the signs, but Virgo and Sagittarius was said to be a trouble match. And this I wrote down because, my mom is a Sagittarius. I actually thought I disagree. But then it does go a little bit into how it can work. And I also think it's a generational thing too, because, I'll tell you a little bit more why they say it's troubled. So it's Sagittarius is a fire sign, and Virgo is an earth sign. So it's just going to burn it down, right? So Sagittarius is going to burn it down. So they're considered polar opposites. So, Virgos, once again, we like routine, whereas Sagittarius typically live for all things exciting. And so, if something comes up, they can go ahead and just easily get into it. And if it's something that they're excited about. So if you're a Sagittarius parent, you should encourage them. It's a good match because you can encourage them to try new things being a Virgo, right? So that allowing you to be more open. And I would consider myself a more flexible person, which I think kind of speaks to why why I'm a little less in my routine than you are. And maybe it's because of my mom, although my mom was always big on when we did certain things and making sure we had a routine. I see her do it with all her grandchildren and with Liam as well. So she does, I think that that's something that she likes, but she's also could do some shift her plans around and it's more carefree in that way. And so I think having a Sagittarius parent made me a little bit more flexible and changing it in my routines and more open to new things, whereas you were raised by a Virgo mother.
And I am Virgo.
So I think that explains why you're a little bit
also
more...
a Cancer father.
Yes.
Who's also very routine focused.
Yeah. So I think he has a Virgo rising sign. We'll have to look at that. But so I thought that was interesting because I was I disagree because I actually have a really good relationship with my mom but I was like, okay, yeah, we are. The thing is that we're very similar and very different at the same time. So there is ways that it can be actually a good match because it can get you out of your typical signs, traits. So another trouble sign from the same site was noting that a Virgo and an Aries. Virgos are more careful and Aries are courageous and take the risk no matter what. So that's just I'm very calculated and analytical. I think you are too. It's does this make sense? Liam is as well.
That's exactly the sound my head makes when I'm thinking. Nope.
He was calculated.
Yep.
Nope, that doesn't add up. We're not doing that. Whereas an Aries is there, they'll be more willing to take the risk. So I think that you have a parent who's a Virgo and then this child who just wants to be like, it could be, it can cause a lot of tension, especially if you're not able to ground that, particular sign. And it probably would scare you in a lot of ways when the kid is just like fearless and climbing things, and you're like, no, and it just was just I would be so stressed. But then I went to another site because I was like, okay, I need to see what other people are saying. We have always said that we will try to stick to at least have earth signs. I think we've always been very cognizant of the friends and people we have around us and how our relationships are with those people. Not to say we have all earth signs around us, but we don't. We don't have all earth signs. That would be kind of sick and crazy that would happen. Sick. So
when were you born? Okay, we can't be friends.
Yeah, we can't be friends.
Okay,
what? And like you pick jobs. What are your signs? What's the team signs?
Yeah.
And
my previous team, a lot of us were all Virgos. And
I mean, it makes sense.
Other
September's
earth signs.
the most common.
Yep. Virgos, Taurus. I think there's a Capricorn. Yeah. Either Virgos are earth signs or compatible. It was like really weird. We did a whole thing. And we're like, wow, we work so well together because that makes probably sense. Why.
So maybe it should be a qualification on your job description when you are sending that out. But also that can be some
that can
HR,
be taken
issues there.
Because I just want to know what your moon sign is. I don't care about you.
Right. What's your true traits? So according to horoscope.com, so I
get my horoscope from them every single day.
Best matches for earth sign parents, which are earth signs, is a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn. It's a parent either another earth sign, yay! So a Virgo parent with either Taurus or Capricorn or Virgo, etc., or water signs, which are Scorpios, Pisces, or Cancer.
Keep us from getting dry.
So it's very earth signs because we're so careful. Routines, it's good for us, right? We like to have similar traits. But what's so good about having an earth sign parent for a water sign baby is that parent can create stable, those parents are typically stable and down to earth and make perfect anchors for the water sign child.
That's a cute plan.
And the parent provide a strong and dependable support system for them. So it is a nice analogy, right? So earth sign, like you're floating. Here's your anchor
for your water sign.
Yeah, exactly. Which I was like, okay, that makes a little sense, especially with my relationship with my sister, who's a Cancer. I'm like, maybe I ground her.
Maybe.
I'll text her that and see what she says.
That's true.
She'll curse me out. I'm like, but maybe she likes, because we were making fun of her.
Yeah.
So I was like, here you are picking on Virgos. She's like, oh, another Virgo. She tagged you something in Instagram. And I was like, you're obsessed with Virgos though. Like you love being around Virgos. I wonder why. And so this is why. So she's my oldest sister, but maybe I ground her in ways that she needs.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll be having an interesting conversation with her tonight.
That's so funny.
So that's why they were saying it. That's why it's a good pairing. So I did like this.
So that makes sense for my dad being a Cancer. And then my sister and she's Capricorn.
But he doesn't ground you guys.
No, we ground him.
Yeah. I think the relationships, that's a good point. Your relationships, these pairings could be really good with a child in the beginning, right? And it works out. But it can turn bad, or it could be bad in the beginning where maybe, whatever. It could be bad and then turn good. Or maybe emotions are just typically better for when the kid is a little bit younger. So that's exactly what you guys needed. And then you shift and you turn into almost like a parenting, like your relationships just shift as you get your adult relationships, what am I trying to say? Your parent-child adult relationships that you have with each other. So I think...
But then I wonder if we're also, between my mom and I being Virgos and my sister being a Capricorn, are we just dragging him down?
Probably sometimes. And this is why he likes spending time with himself. He goes down to the basement, plays with the trains, and is like, okay, bye guys. Yeah. Like, I'm done. But him and Liam have a really good relationship, and Liam's...
Yeah, that's true. He grounds my dad.
Yeah. He's 3 years old.
We keep throwing
he loves
anchors
the
at him.
trains. Oh my God. So I thought this was very interesting. And I think, once again, taking all these things with a grain of salt, I think any parent-child matching whenever they're born could work. You need to listen to what your child needs. I'm not a licensed psychologist, but from what I, reading and looking at my memes and listening to my podcast and my experience is just looking at what your child needs and like what they react to and not being so stuck in your ways no matter what sign you are and be like, oh, I'm just a Virgo. So I'm gonna brush it off. I like things to be this way. Like, no, maybe your child wants to be a little bit more spontaneous, or maybe, you pull them out of school for that day and you guys go do something else. I think Liam would freak out.
He would. On Sunday. Yes. When was Sunday? A couple days ago.
Yeah.
Going and walking by his school and like me jokingly saying, "Oh, we're going to school." He was like, "No."
He's like, "What
don't
is
go
this?"
to school.
Yeah. He's like, "I know it's Sunday." And it's also too late.
Yeah.
So it's so weird, like how he's just a typical Taurus.
But come the next day, he's like, "I'm ready for school."
Yeah. Mommy can't use a bathroom by herself. But she can go ahead and drop you at school by herself and you don't even look back to say bye to her. I'd force him before they open those doors and the kids and the teachers and teacher assistants come out to get the kids. I have to make sure he gives me a hug and says bye, because I will not get a bye or a hug once that teacher comes out. He just zooms in there.
Yep.
Then I went to go pick him up and my sister was here that week. On Friday, and I didn't have the stroller with me, so we haven't.
Yeah.
So
because we've been walking.
Update: for the flood, we still no car. Yeah, still no car.
It'll be a month.
Shout out to Brian's parents, my sisters, who have all drove us or we've used their cars in the last few weeks. So I show up. Yeah, I dropped him off with the stroller. I come back and my sister's like, "No, put the car seat in my car and let's drive," because she was going to take me to the grocery store. Thank you for that. And so that's what we did. She pulls up. I get out. I grab his hand and he looks, and usually Brian is standing over there waiting with the stroller or something. And he's like, stroller. And he's ready to have a full-blown meltdown, pulling away from me because he's like, "What? You are not having me walk," or "What's happening?" And I'm like, "Auntie Mama's here, so she's gonna give us a drive in the car." And he's like, and he perks up because he loves driving in the car. This kid loves driving in the car, so just goes to show once again his routine.
Exactly. Once we get a car, we're gonna have to just transition that.
Oh yeah, because he's gonna freak out. But
drive up, get
it's gonna
out.
just take. It'll take one full day of a drop off and what we do for him to fully comprehend what's going on there.
He's snatched out of that car seat.
Well, we're not going to do that. They have this whole system. I'm sure everyone has this with a school drop off where you're supposed to put the kid on the driver's side. They pull, they unbuckle your kid for you.
Yeah.
You have your sign of where the room and where the kid's name on it, so they know where to bring the kid in case it's not the teacher.
Yep.
Just kind of a little freaks me out. I like to see me hand my child to that person and that person walk in. This person kind of just opening the door. Anyways. But that's how it works. It's supposed to be just this assembly line of, parents, teacher interactions with taking the kid out the car. Liam would freak the F out. He would be like, "Hell no. Are you taking me out my car seat?" He's just not going to allow us to do it. So we already come up with a game plan that we're going to park on the side of the road and walk him up to the door, and then also pick him up by walking up to the door. One, I think we'll save 10 minutes of not waiting in that line. And two, the drama. No, for me, I don't think I would even get used to it. I think I would So this is where Virgo parents with a Taurus kid really works out, because I think we understand we get on his level and we're just like,
routine.
no, he won't like this, because we would hate this. I would hate that as a kid. If some random person came and took me out the car, I would hate that while my mom is still in the car.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't like it. So anyways, I digress. I don't even know how we got there. Routines
And earth signs. Yeah. And we're just stuck in a routine for the rest of our lives, because we're going to be all earth signs.
No, we got to break the mold sometimes, right?
Yeah, we'll have an Aries baby.
That's not what we're having. Well, not this time around. We have another earth sign baby.
Yeah. I meant like 1 or 2 more after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh. Next. What? So, bye. Thank you for joining. We'll talk about that. I'm like, we cannot have this conversation while I'm still pregnant. I was like, let's see how this one goes, and then we can talk further. I'm all about living in the moment, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, I would be open to have another kid for sure. I just think that things need to be, it could be or things need to be lined up the way my Virgo tendencies would like them to be lined up.
And we could talk about that on a future episode, our lining up, and when you think you're ready to have kids. We could talk about our experience.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one to talk about.
And maybe when you think you're ready for a second kid. I think we've touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
That'd be a good topic.
Because I think we were very intentional / sometimes, things always tends to work out. And I thank God that it's a 9-month process. So we figure it out, even if it's like, oh, that happened a little earlier than we would have expected. But yeah, thank God we have that time in between to like figure it out, right?
Exactly.
Plan B.
Exactly.
Not to be confused with the other plan B.
Anyways, that's the wrap up for the show. So we'll leave it there.
Yeah. That's all for this episode, but make sure you're following the show so you know when the next episode is out.
Check out our website, liliesandloafers.com, for cooking and DIY inspiration and more updates from our growing family.
Millennial and Pregnant is a Lilies and Loafers original podcast. It's hosted by me, Fatima.
And me, Brian. Original music by Purple Planet. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.